Mm. All messages. There we go. I just have to fix that. Oh, okay. Hello. Doing all right. Not quite. I'm getting used to these upswept quillons. It's interesting. They catch stuff, but they also don't cover quite the same way. Something I was discovering that, not discovering, but yeah, this upsweep makes it harder to catch. Like your angle for catching cuts is a little different. Because if you catch the cut here, it's going to catch on the, like, that is a significant distance in which it can slide down into your hand if you catch it wrong. I don't know that I like these upswept quillons that much. So like what I was saying is, on a straight cross, right? If you catch a blow here, you're fine. You're a-okay. You can catch it here, here, to here, doesn't matter. Even if disregard the shield, it doesn't matter. If like that, right? If it catches there, it's fine. On this, if I catch it here, I'm fine. If I catch it here, right onto the hand. So it gives you some really good catching, like if you do this, it catches stuff really nicely, but it does mean that you can't catch as close to the hand as you otherwise could, which was a fun realization for me while I was fencing with this for the first time, because I kept getting hit. I would go to make a parry, and I'm like, I got, like I knew, like in my brain, I'm like, I've done this parry like a gajillion times. I know I'm covered, and then I'd get hit on the hand. I'd be like, how did that happen? Because I have the upswept quillons. I'm not as protected as I'm used to being. There's also kind of stubby. So yeah, I'm used to having, for comparison, I'm used to having like coverage like that. See the significant difference there? I have way less protection with this. And that's been a fun learning exercise. Because you spend long enough building that muscle memory, you're like, I see that cut coming in, I know I can put my hand here and be safe. But as soon as you change that guard, the size of your guard, that goes out the window, and now they can attack you in the hand when otherwise you would have been safe. It's fun. Nuance. So I have a sort of both an upswept hilt and a flat hilt. And the closest is like this one, is that it's flat along the bottom, but it sweeps up on the sides. So it actually kind of gives you some of the benefits of both, right? It's pretty much, it's slightly upswept along the bottom, but it's mostly flat, and it only sweeps and flares towards there. So you're actually getting some of the benefit of both. It's one of my favorite guards that I've ever had on a sword. I really like that guard. Best of both worlds there. Now, of course, if you are fighting with this in conjunction with a shield, like I bought this one specifically to use it with a buckler. So having that smaller, less catchy hand protection works out really well in conjunction with a buckler. That if the buckler is doing most of your hand protection, then you really only need this for catching at that stage. I do streams every now and then. I should stream weekly, but I don't. I should, but I don't. Yeah, there's enough on here. There's enough to this sword that you can two-hand it. Get that pommel there. Doesn't flow, doesn't feel great in two hands. It is so loud. This is such a loud sword. I assume you all can hear on the... Yeah, that is... And it keeps going. It's still going. So loud. Less loud. Much less loud. Hmm. Hmm. Thinking thoughts, as it were. Ooh, that's always a scary one. This is the old, like, you don't parry their thrust. You just thrust the same as their thrust, and you step off to the side. It is like the scariest game of chicken right here. Woo! And you still keep your sword, because you don't want them to, like, track to you, necessarily. But that thrust comes in, you interpose your sword in the same line as theirs, because that way they don't come across and get you. But the only thing that's actually protecting you from their initial thrust is the fact that you have stepped out of the way of it. Oh, it's so scary. I'm doing all right. Dual sword is fine. It's just hard. It's hard to do dual swords. Going into a hypothetical sword fight where you fight the guy with a random sword to the death. Wait. Oh, the guy has a random sword, I see. I guess I'm Montante then, if I can have any sword. It's the biggest sword. It's just a big old sword. I can just, like, bonk. What's the most stylish thing I've ever done in a sword duel? Probably one of the disarms I've done. I've done some disarms. Well, I think the disarms are fun, but there is one that I always love doing that ends up being a grapple. I do this one a lot. I really like this one. I can't super do it here because it's a grapple, but I can at least get the idea across. Is that it's just shoot up to here, then you, like, grab their hand and you push their hand aside, and then you come around and you place that on their neck and you sweep through like that. Oh, it's so gratifying. The sword's usually higher. Oh, here, I guess I can kind of, like, pantomime it if I'm holding the other sword, theoretically. So, like, you would meet in a bind. The bind goes high. I let go of my sword, the back of my sword, to grab their forearm or their wrist or something, and then I come around like this, and I step out to the side. I end up about here. Come off their sword. I'm pushing their sword away, and all this happens with, like, a twist the hips, right? So you're doing this kind of movement here, because that's where you're getting the power to shove their sword out of the way. And as you do this, you come off your own sword, and then you do that, and it's you have to do it with the stance afterwards. That's the important part. Is you have to get the, like, 1, 2, boom, slice through, and then you end with the sword across your back for the extra style points. That's when the judges, like, really know you did it. You get to hear. because now if they escape you, you're primed to come back with another cut, because you're using the sword, you're using the long sword in one hand now. So having that little bit more juice available, one boom hit there, means that if they escape, if they somehow slip you, you can cut back out from the grapple, which is fun. I like it. It's like my favorite move to do. Boom. Love it. I've done that one in tournaments. I do it in sparring. It's just a good time. Do a false edge cut from Vontog? Sure. I mean, I had a whole like video on it. But yeah, so like there are a couple ways you could do it. If you want to do it, I mean, it depends on which Vontog you want. You want this one, you want that one. If you do it from here, you can come down like that, pop. You could also do it with the short edge, like you could invert your hand. Oh, wait, what am I saying? Both of those are inversions. I'm doing the same thing. So yeah, you could invert it that way. You could also invert it the other way. Those are both options. If we're on the shoulder, we could kind of come through like that. It works. Oh, this poor mask. I don't know if there's much left to it. Ugh. I think that might be that. Helldiver and VRs with swords. Do I think I do well in a proper VR? Not in Helldivers, no. Doesn't matter if you can fence in Helldiver. I'll just get shot by all the bots. I have not. No, I'm not going to rock the chaplain mustache. I literally can't grow it. And then the other allegations would not be worth it. Yeah, absolute fencing makes HEMA stuff. Let's see. Oh no, what happened? I lost my thing. Where'd it go? I had something. Where'd it go? Okay, here we go. What? Why does it keep disappearing? Stop that. I'm trying to read the comment. Let's see. Oh my gosh, it just keeps disappearing. I did this. Okay, I did a fantasy series with my dream so recently in a short ending in a neat cut. It was hard to follow. Ending in a neat cut. What cut did I do? What cut did I do? Yeah, I can grab a. I don't have it handy, but I can definitely go grab it. I'm just skimming here. Oh boy. Oh, I didn't realize how far behind I was on the comments. Oh my gosh, so many comments. Thank you, Spooky Man. Okay, that was all right. So yeah, Shakti, I don't know. I can't think of the cut. I don't know what cut that was. But someone also asked to see a katana. I actually have a new katana to show because I haven't done a video yet on it. I'm doing a video on it soon. But you all get to like get a preview of the sword I got. It's from Swordus. So Swordist is a new online retailer for swords. And so this is a little preview, is they contacted me about their new service. So like kind of they're a new online retailer for swords, but their big like right hook here is that they are offering, they've teamed up with 3 forges to produce custom katanas that you can like piece together on their online web app. So it's like you just have this cool katana builder app. So I got to play around with it, and they sent me one. They sent me the one I made. So this is my custom katana that I had made for me on their website. Isn't that neat? Since you want to see a katana, there you go. One katana. I also, the fit is a little tight. It hasn't quite, I haven't quite broken it in yet. There we go. Look at that polish, huh? Woo, shiny. The fun thing about this is that because I could choose the sword design, like it wasn't just like the fit and stuff. I actually chose more of the design features here. So I went without a fuller through there. And I also went with a particular, I don't quite remember what it's called. It's not a reinforced tip like you would get otherwise on a lot. I've got another one here somewhere. One second. Okay. Oop. Get that out of there. Okay. So you see here. You see that? You see right there? That little vertical line, kind of like in the tip, right before the tip. It's right about there. You can see that tip has been sort of thickened. Oh yeah, you can see it there. That tip is thickened up to be a reinforced thrusting tip. So that's a feature on this one, but I opted against that on my custom one because I just wanted this really sleek, uniform slicing edge here. Look, I think it's just pretty. And then I went with a very simple Suba. Nothing fancy at all on the Suba. I just wanted a very basic, simple Suba because it reminded me of my cat's ball here back there. I believe this guard is associated with Musashi, I think. Maybe. I think it's a really cool looking guard. So it's super simple. I'm a big guy on form. Like I don't go for engravings very much. I like the beauty of a sword to come from its form factor, not its like decoration. That was a big draw for me. Let's see, anything else while I'm in here? Oh boy, this chat is flying. Okay. Let's see. Yeah, the Yokote. So where you put your hands is going to, on a hand and a half, so it's going to depend on how much grip you have and what your personal choice. If you've got space, then knock yourself out. Do whichever one you want. There's not necessarily. Oh, the scabbard is on tight. Oh, there we go. So like in this one's case, I can grip it there. I don't have another choice. I have exactly enough space to grip it. There's no other option here. We measured it out. It has just enough grip for me, but that's it. Nothing more. So you have to hold the pommel in this case. But there are other ones that are a little more either or with theirs. Let's see. I don't know that I really have one that fits that description though. I've got this one, but this one's not really. This one's look fairly roomy. Yeah. So I mean, this one handles in a very good hand and a half kind of way, but I have enough room here to get both hands comfortably on the handle. I don't really go for the pommel on this one. I mostly use it here together. That's my preference. So, either or, whatever floats your boat. Okay, there we go. How do you hold a longsword? Many different ways. I mostly just fence as far as I should really do more to actually like work out and stuff, but I mostly just I fence multiple times a week. And then I play with swords in my yard the rest of the time. So, well, that was a sharp sword. That was another sharp sword. I've been showing sharp swords. Actually, every sword I've shown since I came in here was sharp. I do not know of Takayama. Oh, any advice for throwing more convincing failures? Throw them like you're going to hit them. That's always the number. Like that's the number one way to do it, right? Is you throw it like you're actually going to hit the guy. Now I've left all my other swords outside. I'm going to go back out for a bit while we have light, and then I guess I can bring it once the light's out. I'll wander back in, but I don't want to like leave my swords outside. All right, yeah. So throwing more convincing failures is ultimately, you need to make them convince. The most convincing way you can make a failure is to make it a real attack. There's a distinct difference if I throw like, now watch me not be able to actually like, do what I say, not what I do. It's going to be one of those situations. Watch me mess this up. So like there's a difference between throwing your failure like, woo, right? That's at no point did that read or shouldn't have read like you were under any threat from the blade. It should have just been like a flourish, right? Like it's coming forward, but then it's gone. And that can work, that if I sit here and go, woo, that might do the trick. But I need to make sure that blade travels far enough that it reads like it's actually going to hit the person first before I flow it off. If I go too early, especially if you are too focused on going to the next cut, you're going to end up with like this kind of thing happening where you kind of come like this and then it just drops or whatever, right? You're just kind of wheeling it here. But this doesn't threaten. You need to get that physical reaction from them because a sword is flying at their face. Now it's still bad because I actually pulled it because I didn't want to hit my camera. Yeah, I was starting to, I'm like, oh, I'm going to hit my camera. No, but that needs to come at them like you're actually going to hit them. And what you're trying to do is, it should be like, you keep doing it until they move to parry it. And that's your cue. If they start going like, oh, I'm going to block it, the moment you see them bite, that's when you flow off. So you can do it with the earlier one, right? If just me doing this or just getting to here makes them bite, then I don't need to keep going. I can just flow off and go again. But if they're more, if they're not as twitchy, if they're not going to jump the gun, you may need to bring that all the way towards their face before they bite, and then flow off to the next thing. Yeah, you have to bait the commit. A feint doesn't do anything. Yeah, I mean, even if they do manage to make the parry, it's sort of a question of, ideally we get out before they touch the sword. But we can make it work even if they touch it, because it's, let's see. And Meyer often talks about like, if it glances. So that's the sort of contact we might be looking at. We want to be able to get them to bite, so they're starting to go, and then we disappear. Because the moment they get contact with our sword, they gain access to feeling, which is the feeling of the swords in contact. Even if it's just a tap, that still gives them information. Because it means if You've got your sword out and you just feel a little pop. That means that they've left. You know they've left. But if you can go whoosh and whip it before they make contact on your blade, they lose out on that moment of information, and they just kind of like, they're just sort of fishing out into the void here, and they just don't get the feedback of you making even light contact. But even if you do end up making contact, you can still do something with it. It's not, you know, all for naught if they do manage to make a parry. Because the thing here is that we are being very light in our, like, we're throwing the cut towards them, but we're taking the meat out of our swing. We're not going like that, right? Where if we're swinging like that and we're like putting power into it and they parry it, that's going to end up in some sort of bind that we don't want necessarily. But instead we're going and we're taking all the force out of this so we can flow off and move somewhere else with it and kind of play with it from there. I do not have a Kopesh, no. Yeah, and of course there are other ways to feint too, right? I like using a thrust to feint off of, because a thrust is really, like, a thrust demands reaction, but it's also primed for that low committal movement. You know, like this, getting our sword to like here so that we can feint and flow off is the same sort of structure and like presence that we would have if we had just thrust as well. So if somebody's kind of hanging out like wherever, you can go like, huh, and you can throw the point at their face. They go to parry it, blow off, and go to your next thing. I'm a big fan of thrust towards the face, cut low. I like that one a lot. Because that'll usually, if you're thrusting towards their face, if you're giving, especially if it's a high thrust, yeah, if it's a, pretend I'm standing. So if it's a thrust to the face and they're somewhere down low, they're probably going to go like this. And that's exactly what you're looking for. Because the moment they go to parry that thrust, you go, haha, cut the leg or hip or whatever. Or even just like, oh, or you get stuck on their tip. You might even come from underneath. 1, 2, up and under. You could be like, one, whoosh. Or, I don't know, thrust. Yeah, I'm a fan of that one, personally. I like 1, 2. With that, especially with that deep step out to the side to help get you some more distance. Thrust, 1. Well, you can be on the inside of the blade here. Does hand protection significantly reduce the information you get through sword touching? It definitely reduces it, but you know, the inside of the gloves are fairly thin-ish, relatively. They're still like thick enough to like help protect you from getting stabbed through the inside of your hand, but they're not going to be doing as much to disrupt your ability to feel. But you know, if your hands are like stuck in a mitt, there's a certain amount of blade, like fine blade movement that you lose out on, which is kind of a shame. I don't do live streams horizontally because I do live streams on my phone, and it's weird to do. YouTube's weird about it. Like I've done it, but the interface does not work great for a horizontal live. Also, yeah, I've also just found that it's easier to frame what I'm teaching with a vertical format, because you know, if I'm trying to discuss like body dynamics and everything, having a portrait of me is more useful than having a like slice of me, because then you might like lose out on like the legs or anything else I'm trying to talk about. It's just easier to keep more of me in frame if it's a portrait, because otherwise I have to be like all the way back, and I still use the vertical to read. I don't, I'm not a huge like competition junkie. I know people who like are always on the move for competition. That's not me. I do compete regularly though. I mostly compete in the summer though. So I generally take most of the year off from competition, and I mostly just compete during the summer. But that's also because that summer is when all of our local tournaments are. I don't travel very far to tournaments. It's just I'm not a tournament junkie, so I don't get the like thrill from traveling to compete. I would rather travel for a workshop or something. But I do the Piedmont League, which is, what is that? That's like four tournaments a year, something like that. Wait, I got another ask. What is this? What is a good blunt sword for sparring, generally smacking things with to practice stances and guards? There's a lot of those. If you want a Feder, Regenia is a good start. I always recommend, like, if you've never had like a blunt longsword, I usually just recommend getting a Regenia Feder. If you're under 6 foot, I'd say get a Regenia shorty, and then if you're over 6 foot, or if you're 6 foot and over, get a Regenia standard instead. That's usually my recommendation. If you don't want a Feder, I think your best bet's to just bite the bullet and go with a Siggy, which is what I have here, which is still a Feder, but Siggy makes not this as well. They make more normal looking swords. And if you really want something pretty, you could do a Malleus. Oh boy, 6'6". That honestly might be worth looking at, like an XL or something. Definitely, I think if you're 6'6", then a shorty would probably not be right for you. It's really a question of, there are some other considerations beyond just length. So what you kind of need to do is measure for yourself. You will get different performances depending on where the sword kind of lands on you. So I personally like having a longsword that ends right under my sternum. Like, what is that, solar plexus? That's where I like my longswords to be. This is my favorite length for a longsword. Is crossguard is at my hips. I'm always forgetting. Yeah, hips. Crossguard ends at the hips for me. Pommel ends just under my sternum. I can kind of like lean onto it. This is my favorite length. Other people prefer a length where the longsword is actually like on their sternum. Some people they'll use the under the armpit measurement. I don't really like how swords handle when they're at that length. I've just never liked that handling characteristic. I prefer to have a more stubby longsword. There are some people who like go for like really short longswords, but not me. I still like a decent bit of sword here, but I find that a sword at that just under sternum height for me is a very responsive thing for me to work with. From a length perspective, it gives you it's also like a one-handed kind of situation. If you get much bigger than this, you start running into weird characteristics when you're trying to do one-handed stuff. With a sort of this length, it's on the upper end of what I would want. I don't think I'd want anything longer than this for a one-handed sword. And this isn't really a one-handed sword, but you know, I can sit here and cut with it and stuff, and I can do actions with it. It's not a good one-handed sword, but it is usable as a one-handed sword. And I find that at that sternum height length for me is where you have that really good sweet spot of, it is not a one-handed sword being held in two hands, but it is still it is like the smallest two-handed sword that can be used really well in one hand, I guess, if that makes sense. It's in that threshold. And then smaller than this for me tends to be something that I have no problem using as a one-handed sword, but you start to feel disadvantaged if you use it against other longswords. It's one of those kind of things. This hits like squarely in the middle. Oh, thank you. No, I have not actually had any conversations about with the neighbors about it, but they should have known when they came to my housewarming, because when they came in, I had the armory up in the house for the housewarming party. So every neighbor that came by the house for it saw all the swords. So I think they knew what they were getting into. I mean, a broom handle is better than nothing, right? You can do like all the actions with a broom handle. That's always what we say when we have new students. Is like, you don't even worry about getting a sword. Just get go to Home Depot or whatever and get like a 4-foot dowel, and then just practice with that. Do I believe in NPCs? I feel like I'm an NPC sometimes. Exhibit some master cuts. Yeah, I could do some. All right, some master cuts. Yeah, I can do some master cuts. Oh, it's getting dark fast. I'm always impressed by my phone camera. I feel like it does a really good job of adapting to low light. Yeah, so master cuts, master cuts, master cuts, master cuts, master cuts. Where to start? I guess there's the old Zornhau, right? Zornhau is the Wrath Strike. So you can do it from like wherever. You can do it from up here, back here, whatever. It's just a diagonal cut. Boom. You can do it more vertically, whatever. It depends on what source you're reading. Some would say you could do it completely vertically. Other people would be like, no, it has to be a diagonal cut. But essentially, we're looking at any sort of diagonal cut off your strong side potentially. Again, subjective. But this is your bog standard Zornhau. It is useful as an attack. Obviously, it is your strongest cut biomechanically. Oberhaus are strong because you can basically like drop your body weight onto it, but you're not getting as much hip rotation. It's not like I'm still rotating my hip through it, but I'm not getting, like if you're trying to like baseball swing something, you're not going to go ha to do it. You're going to go that to do it, right? You want to baseball swing it like that because that's where your power is. Your power is like you get up on here and you boom. So you get power from that. You also get power, but if you're doing like a sledgehammer, right, it's body weight. The Zornhau combines the two. You get the hua of the sledgehammer, and then you get the hip of the baseball bat. You combine the two of those, and you get the Zornhau, which gives you the strongest cut you have. You can use this offensively or defensively. Because this is the strongest cut you have. It is good at both, right? If somebody's cutting at you, oh, I'm going to get cut. Oh, no, right? You can just be like, get that out of there. A little too much juice. I'm going to take out my camera. You can just be like, get that out of there. I don't want that near me. I made a nice sword spark. Zornhau, get that out of here. It's very good. It's a very simple strike, but it's a very good strike. What else we got? We got the inverted Zornhau, so to speak, which is the no, that's not fair. It's to be more like the inverted Scheidel. Yeah, we'll talk about the Scheidel next. So Scheidel is the scalp cut. It is a cut. It's an Oberhau. It is thrown to the scalp. It is mostly a provoking action, kind of like we were talking about earlier, right? We end up in a rather thrusty sort of posture with it. Some people kind of like cant it in their hands like this. I don't like doing that very much. They'll do like this kind of thing. I'm not a big fan of it. More power to them, I guess. Other people will like pronate, like overextend their wrist. I really don't like that. Like they'll do it like this. No, I don't like it. I just do it. I just kind of like, I usually just kind of cast it into a like thrusting position. So I will go like this, usually, where my wrist is still straight, but I've basically super tilted it in my, like, I'm holding the sword like this instead of like that. So like I start with a grip kind of like this, and I shoot it. I do like a push-pull, and I cast it like it's a fishing rod almost, and I shoot it forward in my hand until it's basically like this in my hand. So that's, it spooks people. It's like, if I'm here, right, like that, it's spooky. You want that in your face. So the standard play from this is you go like whoosh at the face. They go, I don't. They go, oh, get that out of my face, and they go up here because they panic. They go, I don't want it. And what that does is drive your point up here. You go, I got you, or you dip it under that way. So they go up. They create an opening down here. You've been displaced. You go underneath and poke them there. The inverted shuttle how, so to speak, is the shield how. So while this one goes ha, this one goes woohoo. Shuttle, scalp cut here. Shield, long edge, short edge, long, short, long, short, short. Shield how is one of my favorite cuts because it will set aside stuff. So they might be here. You can go hua and cut down. You can kind of do it from a more vertical posturing like that. You can do it like really high. If you do it really high, it can kind of like catch and then scoop over the top and then bonk them. If you do it kind of lower, you can kind of blast through. I like doing a low one as a thrust. I'm a big fan of that one. So if somebody's hanging out in kind of like a longy point situation, I might go like that. Because I'm shooting it to catch their weak pop. And if I get to there, then I extend my arms and I come blasting through with the point. Like that. I love that one. I love shield. I guess that leaves, okay, that leaves two more of the core. We have crump how. It is the crooked cut. So sword, I'm on the flat. It's a windshield wipe. And what do windshield wipes do? They wipe. It's super simple. There's something in your way, get that out of here. It works either side. Are they coming over on this side? Get that out of here. I don't want it. We don't like that. What can we do from there? A bunch of things. We can stay with it. Ugh, I overdid it. That's usually this will, if you stick with it, you can essentially break them down to the ground here. Now they're stuck underneath you. You can kind of like go from here to maybe like, Meyer talks about doing a crump where you go to the sword to the hands. So you break their sword and then you immediately place your sword onto their hands and you press down onto their hands with your sword, which is unpleasant to say the least. And so you go 1, 2, you immediately lift off and you come back to their hands, controlling their wrists. Another one you could do is break down and immediately come back up again with the short edge. So you go like, whoop. Again, this thing just swings. Crump, whip, up. Because you're kind of, when you get to here, you're kind of primed. So you basically unwrap your hand. So your wrists cross, you're here, and you just kind of like unwind that. There's a lot of kind of potential energy in that. and you whip it back up. One that I like to do is to go 1, 2 high with it and then move off. I do that one a lot. After there, I like that one. Or even without the dramatic stepping, you could just kind of go like that if you want. I like it because it keeps the momentum going. So like if I really want to blast through, I'll do that one. You know, the degree of intensity, right? So if I want to go like boom, boom, I can do that. But if I want to set something up a bit deeper, I might go there first and then get to there. Other fun thing about the crump out is that you can do it from a bind. So you don't have to throw it as a cut. I can be here and do it in there. A lot of these can be done from the bind. Shield how too, actually. So shield how from the bind. I'm a big fan of that one. Shield how, crump how. That just leaves Zerkow, which is like everybody's favorite. Zerkow is boop, 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 boop. It's all of these different angles of false edge, short, long edge, thummy, thumb cuts. People love those. People are big fans of those. Where was I going with that? It's really hard to demonstrate how it works defensively. I guess I can do it here. Actually, yeah, never mind. I'm dumb. This works. Defensively, how can we use it to defend ourselves? If a cut is coming from above, and we don't want to get hit from the cut from above, we can go wham, like that. So it's coming in. We don't want to get hit by it. Cut it. You cut into it. You can kind of do it as a two-stage action. You go like 1, 2. You can do it a single time. 1. And you've got choices. So again, another one. You can do this from the bind. We can be in a bind. I can cut this there through the bind. Options. Lots of options. I think that covers it. I love turtlenecks, yeah. This is a bike repair stand. I don't think I've composed. I should probably record one at some point. I don't think I've done a full walkthrough of everything yet, but I probably should. That would be smart to do. And I'm trying to pack my stuff up here. It's dark. I'm gonna move everything inside. I'll go from there once I've collected all my swords and things. Just a few swords, few odds and ends. Okay, there we go. Get this, get that. We'll go inside. It's a bit dark out here. I think I've lost my useful lighting. But we'll go inside and then we'll keep going from there. Talk about this and that. If I can get there. I have 3 swords on my hip right now. It's a bit many. Makes walking interesting. Okay, here we go. Swords aren't really that heavy, but when you start combining them all, the weight adds up. Okay. We're back. Hello. I have brought 250 people with me.
Thank you.
Yes, 250 people have joined us.
We're just chilling around the kitchen.
Yeah, that's how it works. Yes, I'm glad you liked it. Alec Krins, I'm trying to read this while I walk. Alec. Oh no, it's gone. Oh, Alec. Thank you, Alec. Whatever the rest of your name was, I did not get to see it. Now I have everything with me inside. I need to remember to actually oil these. But I'm just going to stash everything for the moment. Okay. I'll have this foam. That out of here. Okay. Wreck. Okay. Please do a video on my. I've already done a video on it actually. What spray do I most recommend? I don't use a spray. I use this. Ballast oil. That's what I use. Ballast oil. Ballast oil and this. This used to be white. It's my ballast oil soaked rag. That thing is so soaked with oil. I don't even have to like add more oil to it. It's utterly saturated. You can actually see how saturated this thing is with oil, right? Look at the stick. I keep it on the stick. You can see the difference in color. Yeah, that's my oil stick. How much have I spent on swords and like, don't worry about it. I don't know what I'm doing about the blade yet. I'm thinking about it. I will probably end up sending it back to Italy, but I'm trying to figure out a optimal way. You're going to Italy soon.
Yeah, I can't imagine like checking a sword.
It's fine.
It's also 6 months from now.
I waited 3 years.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Worst case scenario, we'll just send it with you.
You Rome?
No, but that's close enough.
Oh. You know I can't just run off on one of those trips. Though.
Maybe I can get him to run out to you. you're like, hey.
That'd be amazing. Meet at the Coliseum.
Yeah. Just have him meet you at the Coliseum. Yeah. Oh, okay.
The life you live.
Yeah, the life you're always going to Rome. Why are you always going to Rome?
4 times.
You go to Rome so much. Why? It's ridiculous. Wait, how many times? Wait, so it's been fourth, and how many years?
5. 6 this summer.
So you've gone to Rome almost once every year.
Almost, yes.
Oh my gosh. My shaving routine. I just have an electric razor. Nothing fancy. And then I have scissors for the mustache. I just go snip. She goes. I've been to Rome. I've been to Rome, but now she goes on like tour things. She organizes them. Yeah. Everybody got excited because I pulled out a Dr. Pepper. Yeah. Pull out my favorite sword. People can do that. Yeah, now I can do that. My favorite sword. Favorite sword. I have a new favorite sword. It used to be the Montante, but now I have this one, so now I can say that this is my favorite sword. Someone asked, did I hear an hola mijo? What did you say?
I did not call you mijo.
I don't know.
Mijo is my son.
Oh.
I said hola mi amor.
Mi amor. You said mi amor. I don't know. I'm not good with the Spanish.
Hence the me.
I'm getting better. I'm getting better.
You are a little bit.
I actually knew when you texted me that one time. I actually knew what you said before I read.
Yeah.
She asked me what the plan was for the day, and I answered her.
To be fair, I said it in English right about it.
I didn't see that part though. I was doing it through my notifications.
Hey.
I'm getting better with the Spanish. Yeah, I'm planning to get, so people were saying that this doesn't have distal taper. It does have distal taper. I've actually measured it. This was, so it definitely does taper. It just doesn't taper enough. It also gets thick again, right about here-ish. I can demonstrate this. It's hard for you to see, but I can demonstrate it and you'll be able to see it happen. So look, so like sword in the scabbard, right? Sword goes in. Okay, now watch as I try to draw it back out. So it's stuck here, and then it's gonna get loose, and then right there, it got stuck again. So there, whoop, up. Now it's loose again. So loose, stuck. There it goes. Loose, stuck. There it goes. It gets thick right in that section there for some reason. I think that was an oversight, probably. It shouldn't really be extra thick there, which is not helping, right? That extra mass there is going to be dragging things a little bit. Just wipe that down. It's actually not very sharp either. That's the other problem, is that this can't actually cut anything. Like, it will not cut. It will stab, though, but it will not cut. Look. No cutting. It is not actually sharp, which is such a shame. I was supposed to be, that was one of the things I told them about. So like, before you like panic, I did that so that you don't panic when you see me doing this. Because like doing this with a sharp sword's a bad idea. It is not sharp, don't worry about it. But this is a much faster way. If your sword is not sharp, this is a much faster way to oil it. There. I would not do this if it was actually sharp, don't worry. I was slicing, but even though it's not sharp, I was actually using this to cut some pumpkins earlier. Video will be going live this week, by the way. But I am just making sure I've properly oiled it after I did that. Because pumpkins will absolutely stain the blade. I guess it's like the acidity in their pumpkin juices. They will stain a blade if you leave it on there. I had already cleaned off the gunk, though. I'm just oiling it now. Oh, and I didn't even demonstrate. This is, you can hold this in two hands. Yeah, so that's what's fun about this, is that it's meant to be a 1.5-hand sword with a basket hilt, half basket hilt, and then you can hold it in two hands. Woohoo! Isn't that exciting? Love it. Love it, love it, love it. I want to oil it more later. I've been doing sword stuff for about 10 years. I do not have a room in my house for sparring. I wish I did. And maybe that'll be your room. Now, when the kid moves out, I'll convert her room into a sparring room. I don't think so, no. Who wins, Rapier and Dagger or Montante? Probably the Montante. But I share my sword passion with my family.
Yes.
I share it with them, and then I think they mean more like, do you partake in it? And I don't know that it's necessarily a passion on your end. It's a polite enthusiasm.
I like to watch you do it.
The messer, I assume the messer on there, just aiming there, that is a Balor Arms Greeks messer. They are out of production right now, though. It's a dog. I have a dog. Oh.
So immediately gets picked up.
Dog gets picked up. Mwah. Mwah. She came to hang out with me. There you go, girl. Yeah, you're just hanging out with me. I know. Oftentimes, if I'm on a live, she's actually just below screen. She sits. She just kind of hovers. My money would be on the Montante against the Rapier and Dagger. And that dog is just standing here. That's what she's doing. How often do I stream? Occasionally. I know you're itchy right now. I got the World War II overcoat on eBay.
Oh, I wonder if the other one's for another recipe.
Oh, thank you, Justin. Or Justa. Justa. Thank you, Justa. What was my second favorite? So the Montante. Montante. Do I own a wall hanger sword? I own one. I own exactly one wall hanger. This one. Because it's the first sword I ever bought. So I bought it before I knew what a good sword was. But I kept it because it's my first sword. 6? It was high school, I think. I think I was 16. I think that was the age. Yeah, I think it's 6. Yeah, I think I bought this when I was 16. My parents were exasperated with me when I brought that home, to say the least. And what did they told me, and then the next time they said, okay, but you can't buy, like, okay, you bought a sword, don't go buying another sword. So then I came back home with this. I said, it's not a sword. And then they were very exasperated with me. Yeah. Oh, thank you, Jobinger. I hope you find it as enriching as I have. Armor in the back has been pieced together from all sorts of places. It's not all from one place, or it's some of it's secondhand. Actually, a lot of it's secondhand. Actually, I can think of it. The arms are secondhand. Yeah, basically everything on the arms is secondhand, and then the greaves are secondhand, and then Cult of Athena. I think I bought this off of somebody as well. I think this might be secondhand. The mail is from Cult of Athena. I'm working on replacing it though. I've been saving up. This has been my baby for a long time, but it is not particularly authentic. It is a lot better than Hollywood, I'll say that. But this is not up to like living history standards at all. That's why I barely even wear it. I usually don't wear it. I've mostly been wearing the munitions plate over here. Look at that. Two. Yeah, I have two armors. One here, one over here. I've been wearing that one more. That one's better. Do I have a favorite axe? Probably my pole axe. That's probably my favorite axe. Do I own daggers? Yes. I like this one a lot. This is probably like my favorite. This feels like a bad thing to say that this is my favorite. But no, maybe it's not. Oh, what is my favorite dagger? I have several daggers. I can go through them. This is my like daggeriest dagger, I think. Like if you think about a dagger, I feel like this is my most daggery dagger. I like this one. This one is super sharp too. Yikes. I would not oil it like I oiled my other sword. Look at like that edge is just woo, terrifying. This is nasty. This is the one that scares me the most. I am most afraid of this one. On the opposite end of the spectrum is that one. That is a terrifying dagger too. But I don't find it as scary as the other one. That little one is more scary to me than this one. Because this one's not actually sharp on the edges. It's not meant to be. It's sharp on the point. It's very pointy, but it's not sharp on the edges. So like somebody like came at you with this one, you could potentially like parry it with your arm and be okay. You know, it's big. I think the main perk to this being the size that it is that it gives you a fighting chance against things much bigger than it. Like it's got enough mass that like I'd feel more confident using this against somebody who has a sword. If someone was attacking me with a sword, I'd feel more confident using this against it. But if I was unarmed, I'd be more afraid of this little thing. This thing's scary. This thing is very scary. It's so light and yeah, it is super sharp all the way around. You're not grabbing onto this without something bad happening at some point, I'm sure. Like, this thing's terrifying. All that is to say, I've got one other dagger of note, which is this one, my custom dagger. This one sits somewhere in between the two of them. It is also not sharp right now. It is not sharp at all, which is a shame. This one is meant to kind of straddle the gap. It is not as big as the other one, and it's not as small and stabby as the other one, but this one is somewhere in between. It's meant to be just a good all-round dagger that you could use to parry and fight like against another sword. You could reasonably like get a parry off against. It's got enough mass that you could parry a sword, cut sword swing with it. I mean, maybe you might want a two-hand the parry, but you could parry and generally like sword fight with this dagger because it's basically a short sword at that point. Getting it back in is tricky. In you go. Oh, right, it doesn't go that way. It goes like this. That's more like it. There. Oh, 20% battery left. Almost time to end this. Oh boy, this chat is moving fast. Okay. I got it from Aaron Reichart. He's got an Instagram, Aaron Reichart Swordsmith. What is a good starter sword for a poor college student? Sharp or blunt? Yeah, sharp sword or blunt sword. That changes the question. What else? Oh, I have a sword paying me a visit. Maybe worth showing. This is on loan for a video. I'm borrowing it. It's here for the weekend. And then it goes away. Yes, the armor fits me. Basket. What's a good blunt sword on a price range of 300 to 500? That's quite a price. If at that range, not wait, is it Tedesca 500? Tedesca might be over. You could probably get like a Siggy King. You could probably get a Siggy King in that price range. That would probably work. That'd be a good choice. Siggy King. If you wanted a sharp one, I always like to recommend like a Cold Steel as a like baby's first sharp sword, because it's a fairly low investment piece that is functional. It's not a good piece by any means, like, but it works. It's acceptable. It'll do the job. It's a good it's a good low investment way to like learn how to sharpen a sword, because it's not a huge loss if you ruin it. You can cut with it, and if you mangle the blade, again, not a huge loss. I've heard good things about Krieger's entry grade sharp swords, and Balor Arms makes some really approachable stuff. So Balor Arms is Cult of Athena's sort of in-house brand. This is a Balor Arms, and then this is a Balor Arms. Or it's a Balor Arms, both are really good swords. I think Balor Arms the Balor Arms line is currently offering some of the best bang for your buck out there right now. And you should be able to adapt to whatever conditions you. I mean, I've seen people like do HEMA stuff like from a wheelchair. Like there's like do what you can within your capacity to do, but there are ways to explore it and have a enriching experience to the best of what you are physically capable of doing. I like the wheelchair in that case he was doing like rapier from a wheelchair, which was impressive, and like he was getting points like against like someone who was on their feet from the wheelchair. He was able to like work, because like they have to come into range to you, right? So like you can adapt your style to deal with it. So you don't have the luxury of like deep lunges if you're in the wheelchair, but you can basically like force them to come to you, and so you tailor what you've learned to like that. And so he was really good at like he would pivot. He would keep the chair at like an angle, and he would like rotate it to always keep the person sort of like in line. And then he would just have a really strong center control game. It was cool to watch. Yes. Dinner. Oh boy. You have a cookie.
Very big cookie.
Love cookies. Pumped up for a cookie. Yeah. Cookies. Oh, that is a big cookie. Is that the cookie?
Okay, we're splitting it, so part of it's gone. Oh, I get to hold the sword. You hold the cookie.
That is a big cookie. Big cookie. Yeah.
There you go. You have a cookie.
Thank you.
And dinner.
Yeah. Okay. I'll wrap it up. I have a bill hook. Yeah, it's right there. Met somebody with better grip than me. I met someone. I don't know. I'm trying not to like I don't think like it's a humble bragger thing, because there are definitely people who have way better outfits than I do. But where I live, nobody really dresses up much. So not usually, no. So if I have not met somebody with better drip, it's because I have literally not gone somewhere where people actually dress up nice enough. Yep. Ask Oakley though. That guy's a fashion icon. He's great. I wish I had half the style he does. Oh yeah, I'm a bill hook guy actually. I'm a big fan of the bill hook. I love the bill hook. I've been in a couple places in Italy, but I don't think I've ever been there. Oh yeah, there was the question of historical or current like day wear drip. If we're talking about like historical drip, then yes, yeah, there are people who have been more fashionably dressed than I have at like Ren fairs and stuff. And yeah, in that case, yes, definitely. But as far as like day wear, I don't know. My least favorite sword. Probably not one that I own. What do I not like? There's something that I don't like. What do I not like? I don't really like falchions very much. They just don't really do anything for me. I do need to kind of get going here though. Dinner's ready. I am wearing a Paco on my hip, yeah. Look at that. Convenience. I'm doing a review eventually. I've just been so sidetracked by everything under the sun. I have not actually. Ooh, it's a little much for that's not necessarily a problem with the Paco here. I have it adjusted a particular way. It's basically the way the Paco works is that it's just a kind of like cradle, and it's got magnets in it. So you put your sword in the cradle, the magnets hold the sword, but this broadsword is heavy enough that at the angle it's currently at, if I tip forward, it's gonna whoop right out. But that's not really a problem I have with other swords. Yeah, you can adjust it. So you've got 3 adjustment points. So there's 1 here and then 2 here. So in the case of the broadsword, to make it wear better, I probably would increase or shorten this so that it would hang more vertically. Because right now it's very front heavy at the moment, but I could tighten this up and swing it so that it would be carried more like this, and then you wouldn't have that problem. You deal with the weight. So you can adjust it. So right now I have it set to be sort of a good configuration for most of my swords. Like I'll wear it with my rapier a lot. So you see how the rapier sits on it. This rapier sits, I can like lean forward, nothing happens. It just stays nice and pretty. So that's how I have it set up right now. Okay, anyways, I think that about covers it. Could you wield a shield and a gun in one hand? Yeah. I said I was going to go, but I do kind of, I'm intrigued by that prospect. Yes, you could, yeah. It'd be hard to aim because shields are kind of heavy. Can be kind of heavy. So you could, but you'd have a very finite, like it's just, you're just going to be trying to aim with like a bunch of weight on your arm, and that's counterintuitive to aiming a gun, right? Let me see. Yeah, again, I'm too intrigued by this question to not answer it. Let's see. Let's go with this. This is how we're going to end the stream. I'm going to do this. Let's see. So let's hypothetically, we're going to say hypothetically, we're going to do this on the assumption that the pistol's loaded at least. The pistol's loaded. Pistol is in hand. there. You know, with the clip, I could actually like clip it like inside the shield as a way to keep it stowed. Let's keep it in hand for now. So we have shield, gun, and then let's say shield, gun, and basket. Oh, yeah. So yeah, I mean, you could do it. I don't think it's a good idea, but you could do it. And caulking, it's going to be kind of tricky. Okay. So, right, if like again, why would you do this, right? Just you only get the one shot. I mean, I guess you have multiple shots. Maybe there's a reason to do it. But yeah, this is this because of Space Marine? This is because of Space Marine, isn't it? I bet this is Space Marine. I say, what if I do it this way? Do I like this way more? Do like this kind of set, maybe? Shield. Now the gun's in the way. That doesn't work. I'm gonna find a way to make this work in a way that I like. I think this is probably still the best way though. Gun, shield. Gun, shield. Yeah, I think this is probably your best bet. Again, the gun kind of gets in the way a little bit. You could like do this kind of thing to get around it. I think. Yeah, you could be like fight. This is the problem I was talking about. Is that I now have to aim a pistol with the weight of my shield on my arm, which is not conducive to steady aim. I mean, I guess you could do a little bang like this. You'd be like boom, but there you go. And then having to deal with the fact that you now have a pistol and a shield and everything. I think you'd be, personally, in my opinion, you'd be far better served to just keep your sword sheathed, gun, shield, draw a gun with shield, bang, like ditch gun. There it goes. No, not the gun. And that could help. And then shield, and then go from there. Ugh. Ugh. Oh boy. All right, I'm beat. All right. Anyways, I'm gonna go now. Doodles.